7 tips on how to conduct yourself in court. How you conduct yourself in court is incredibly important. The stratagems and techniques described in this channel will tend to elicit an emotional response on the part of state bureaucrats. One of the reasons your conduct is so important is that you're going to be on the receiving end of a lot of hostility, and that hostility is coming from people with guns. It is imperative that you keep yourself well above their line of emotional hysteria. Do not feed into it. Don't make the situation worse by becoming like them. Always keep in mind that they have guns and they're willing to shoot you to death. Even if they're wrong and you're right, be careful around such people. I suppose you could sum this video up as, be cool. And here are 7 pro tips for keeping a level head. Number 1. Stick to facts. Never talk legal interpretations. This is a good tip for 2 reasons. The first is that the only person in the room who gets to make a legal determination is the judge. If you make a legal argument or if you offer an opinion, the judge will simply overrule you. This will make you angry and then you'll be one of the ones getting emotional, like them. Don't fall for this trap. Stick to facts. The second reason is that you always want to make your point of contention a factual dispute. They can spin law, they can lie about interpretation, they can even hype up some obscure precedents. But the one thing they cannot overrule or spin is a fact. And in an appeal situation, a factual dispute is the one that you win. Always stick to facts. Number 2. The more they yell, the more statuesque you become. That isn't to say you freeze up. No. The idea is that you do everything possible to look better than the guy screaming. The person screaming, incidentally, will likely be the judge. If they turn into a raging 5-year-old and you're cool as a cucumber, everyone in the room will physically see who's composed and who is screaming like a child. This can only help you. Number 3. Know your material forward and backward. The part of the brain that does the most complex processing is the prefrontal cortex. In stress situations, blood flows away from the prefrontal cortex and into the base of the brain. This has the effect of increasing reaction time. It also has the effect of making you a little bit stupid. This is great for physical combat, but not for mental combat. The judge and prosecutor will go to great lengths to intimidate you and scare you because it'll make you easier to manipulate. If you know your material, it won't matter if they try to scare you. You'll still know what to do. Even if you're slightly stupider than you'd normally be, you already know the moves and you can operate for the most part, from memory and reflex. Number 4. I like to focus on breathing when I'm upset. This sounds a little bit like some hippy-dippy stuff, and I'm sorry, but I have to get it out there. In a stress situation, I like to focus on a breathing pattern that calms me down. The idea is to get my mind back. Calm down and let the blood flow back into the prefrontal cortex where I want it. The breathing pattern that I mimic is that of a happy cat. Long inhalation and a slightly accented exhalation. It'll sound roughly like this. This should be only done a couple of times, and then you should go back to normal breathing. Otherwise you might get a little bit lightheaded. Your mind will end up clear and you'll be able to take on the prosecutor again. Number 5. Be respectful and courteous. Yes, they're scamming you. Yes, you're fully justified in yelling at them, and you're fully justified in calling them the scoundrels that they are. But they still have guns and they're still willing to shoot you. Don't yell at them. If you treat them with courtesy and etiquette, everyone in the room will see 2 things. The judge and the prosecutor acting like children, and you acting like an adult. Everyone in the room will put 2 and 2 together and see that the judge and prosecutor are not representing justice. This will hurt them and help you. If you're going to take these people on, you must be the better person. Number 6. Do not revere them. This will sound crass and judgmental, and that does suck, but state bureaucrats are not the sharpest tools in the shed. In law school, the good ones are picked up by private law firms. The ones who couldn't get into private law firms find government jobs. The phrase good enough for government is what comes to mind. Do not treat them like or think of them as superiors. They are not your superiors. They're just people willing to use violence to get their way. Number 7. Assume formlessness. You may have a single goal, but how you meet that goal may need to change. As Bruce Lee would say, you got to flow like water. A river wants to get to the sea, and that's what you're going to be doing. The key is that a river can take any number of paths to get to the sea. Be like that river. They will try to stop you, and you will just have to find a new path. Be adaptable as they place barriers between you and your goal. Your goal ultimately is always the same. Get them to leave you alone. How you accomplish this will depend on the context. Every fight is unique and should be dealt with as its own thing, just as every river is unique. Be prepared to modify how you meet your goals. Don't let a mere obstacle block you. A river does not stop for a rock, and neither should you. And those are 7 tips that should help you deal with court situations a little more effectively. Now go get 'em, champ.